Hey guys, it's Priscilla from Priscilla's Craft Shop, and on today's video, we're going to be working on this ghost spider inspired hat. It's a little different than the Spider-Man hat just because the webbing is not on the outside, just on the ear flaps, but it actually works up pretty easy. Um, I hope you guys like it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, the pattern is available for free on my website at priscillascraftshop.com. Okay, so this is what you're going to need. We're going to use impeccable loops and thread yarn in white. And then we're going to use impeccable loops and thread yarn in the color Lippy, Lippy. And then you're going to need some of the Red Heart Super Saver in Turqua, an H hook, some scissors, and a threading needle. We have our base hat already done in white with the border in Lippy. And if you need to know how to do the base hat, you can find that playlist here. I have a playlist already done for you that I will upload. And then you can just pick whatever size you want to go. The accents are all the same for each size that I'm going to be uploading. So you don't have to worry about that part. This part will be the same for all sizes. So we're going to take our white and we're going to get started on the eyes. So I'm just getting some extra yarn so I don't have to be tugging on it too much. And we're going to take our H hook and we're going to make a magic circle. And we're going to chain 2 into that magic circle. And now we're going to work 6 double crochets into that magic circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to close our magic circle. We're going to put it tight, but we're not going to join into the first stitch. Chain 2 and turn. And now you're going to work 2 double crochets into every stitch for a total of 12 double crochets. The chain 2 does not count as a double crochet, so you will be working 2 double crochets into that same stitch as that chain 2. Right, now we're going to work our last 2 double crochets in that little last stitch. And it kind of looks like a little small orange slice. So now you're going to just chain 2 and turn. And now you're going to work 2 double crochets in the first stitch and 1 double crochet in the next. Again, the chain 2 does not count as a stitch. So it's going to be 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, all around for a total of 18 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And you're just going to continue that pattern of 2 and 1, 2 and 1 all the way around. You're going to finish that off. You don't need to leave a long tail. It's not necessary. We're not going to be using that to sew on, but we're done. So we need to make one more of these because she has two eyes. So that is our first one. It looks like a big orange slice. And now we need to do it again. Now, if you got it and you know what you're doing, you could fast forward this part. But I've been told that I'm a little too fast on the videos, so I'm trying to slow it down a bit and just explain everything as best as I can. So we're starting again with the magic circle, and we're going to chain 2 into that magic circle. And again, this chain 2 does not count as a stitch. And now we're going to work 6 double crochets into that magic circle. And 6. Now we're going to pull that magic circle tight, but we are not going to join. We're going to chain 2 and turn. And again, this chain 2 does not count as a stitch. We're going to work 2 double crochets in the same stitch as the chain 2, and then we're going to work 2 double crochets in each stitch after that for a total of 12 double crochets. Eleven, 12, chain 2 and turn. And now we're going to work 2 double crochets in the same stitch as the chain 2, one in the next. 2, 1, 2, 1 for a total of 18. So that's 1, 2, now 1 in the next stitch, 2 in the same stitch, 1 in the next stitch, and you're going to continue doing that pattern of 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet for a total of 18 stitches. All right, fasten that off, take that out the way, and now we have both eyes completed. Okay, now we have to put our borders on them. You see together they look like they make a whole circle. So then that's how you know you did it right. So now we take our Lippy color, and you can use any pink that you like, any pink that you think goes. I hadn't originally started out with this pink. There was another pink that I was using, but I can't for the life of me figure out where I got it from, or the color. So this is the closest thing to it. It's literally like a twin. So now with a standing single crochet, we're going to do single crochets across the eyes. For this, I like to start on opposite ends for each eye. So for this eye, I want to start on the left corner, and for this eye, I want to start on the right corner. And it'll make sense when you go to sew it on. So just trust me. You can sew it on however you like, whatever makes you feel more comfortable. But this is just a little technique that I like to do just to make sure that it makes my life easier when I'm sewing it on. So I'm working with a standing single crochet. That's where my loop is already on my hook, and I insert it, and then I have my first single crochet. So like I said, with this eye, I am starting on the left side corner, and I am just going around doing a single crochet in each stitch that there is. All right, we've reached that last corner and now we're going to work on the edging. So what I like to do is I like to take that little extra white from when we fastened off and I like to single crochet it along the edge of the eye just so that it kind of fastens it. We're only going to do it to about the middle section to where our magic circle beginning string is. I don't know the proper term for that one, I'm sorry. And I just kind of insert my hook wherever I feel there's a little groove, or if there's a double crochet on the top of the double crochet, or just in between them. There's really no exact way to do this. So then I take that string that I sewed along and I pull it to give it a nice little tug, and then I get those two out of my way. And now I work the other half just doing my single crochets. And then I join with a slip stitch and I leave a long tail for sewing because this is what's going to go on to the hat. Okay, so that side, you see, we joined our yarn on the left side of the eye. This time, we're going to join it on the right side of the eye. So we're going to join on the right side and work our flat side, the top flat top part off first, and then do the rounded out bottom. So again, I joined with a standing single crochet, and I am going to hold that excess yarn onto my eye just to make sure that it stays in place. I'm sorry, this is off camera. I try my best to make sure that I'm getting it all, but sometimes when you're recording and you're trying to make sure that you're in frame, but you're also trying to look at the item that you're crocheting, it's a little hard. So now I take my string that I crocheted along and I give it a tug, a nice little tug, and then I move that out my way, and now I just finish off the rest of my eye with just my pink. And now we're at our edging, so it just makes it easier because now you know where to put your hook. You just single crochet all along. Join with a slip stitch into your first single crochet and leave a long tail for sewing. And now you have both eyes completed. With your starting string on one on the left side and your starting string on the right side. So this is the way I like to fasten them off. I'm going to cut off any excess yarn just so that it makes it easier for me to tie. They're both together since I sewed it along, across the edging. And I make a knot. I actually do it 3 times. Yeah, I know I like to tie my things a lot. And then I cut that close. And then with the pink yarn, this is my short side. So this is the backing, okay? This is the back. This is the front. The front, you can tell, it looks nice and pretty. The back has a knot in the middle and it has a short side on that part of the back. So I just give it a little tie to our longer portion that we will be using to sew onto our hat. And for that one, I just do 2 knots and then I cut it really close to the knot so that you can't really see it. And our first hat is complete. So now we're going to do that again for our second eye. Again, I cut off any excess that I don't need because I don't need to make it more difficult for myself to tie these knots. And I find when the string is longer, it makes it a little harder. I do 3 knots on the white, and then I cut off the short part from the pink. If you do not crochet your white string along on the top so that it meets in the middle, that's okay. You can just take your threading needle and sew it alongside to put it in the middle, then tie it with the other one. It's not a big deal if you don't feel comfortable doing that. Okay, so now this is our hat, and we have to work on there's no webs, right? So we have to work on the webbing on the inside. So what I do is it's gonna go right there where the ear warmers are. It's not gonna be in the whole inside of the hat. We're not gonna make a whole part, a whole nother hat on the inside for webbing. It's just gonna be where the ear warmers are so that it's visible, because obviously the inside of the hat is not gonna be visible. The only part that's visible will be the inside of the ear warmers. So we take our Lippy color, just get some extra. Let me find my end. And now with our H hook, we're going to chain 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, now you're going to work 1 single crochet in the second stitch from the chain, and then 1 single crochet in the next stitches to the end. So basically you're going to have 12 stitches, 12 single crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Does it confuse you guys when I count? I'm always not sure if you guys, that was 11 and this is 12. I'm not sure if you guys want to count because you want someone to keep count for you, or if you are counting, so me counting is throwing you off. Leave me a comment and let me know if you want me to keep counting or not. So now you're going to chain 1 and turn, and you're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch. So you're going to do another row of 12 single crochets. Okay, chain 1 and turn. Now this is going to be a decreasing row, which means we're going to do a single crochet together in the first 2 stitches and in the last 2 stitches. So single crochet together, those first 2 stitches, and then do 1 single crochet in the next 8 stitches. And now you're left with 2 stitches. So you're going to single crochet those together as well. Chain 1, turn. This next row will just be 1 single crochet in each stitch for a total of 10 single crochets. Chain 1 and turn. This next row is a decreasing row. So we're going to work 2 single crochets together in the first 2 stitches and then 2 single crochets together in the last 2 stitches. So single crochet together those first 2 and then do 1 single crochet in the next 6 stitches. 3, 4, 5, 6, and now we're going to work those 2 stitches together. Chain 1 and turn. This row we're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch for a total of 8 single crochets. 5, 6, 7, 8. Chain 1 and turn. This next row will be a decrease row. So you're going to chain the first 2 stitches together, do 1 single crochet in the next 4 stitches, and then single crochet together those last 2 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. This next row you're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch for a total of 6 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Chain 1 and turn. This next row is a decrease. So the first 2 stitches you're going to single crochet them together, and then you're going to work 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, and then single crochet together for those last 2 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. Now you're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch for a total of 4 single crochets. Chain 1 and turn. Do 2 decreases. So the first 2 go together and the last 2 go together. Chain 1 and turn, and now do your last decrease where those 2 go together. Leave a long tail for sewing. And that goes right in there. So now we have to do another one of these. Again, you're going to chain 13, single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then single crochet in the rest of the chain all the way down for a total of 12 single crochets. I'm sorry, my brain, we just had Christmas, two of my kids' birthdays. I lack the headspace to know all the proper terminology today. Okay, chain one and turn, and now you're going to work one single crochet in each stitch for a total of 12 single crochets. Again, that chain one does not count as a stitch. So you do have to work a single crochet in the same stitch as your chain one. Chain one and turn. Now you're going to work a decrease in this round. For the first two stitches, you're going to single crochet them together, and then you're going to do one single crochet in each stitch across until you get to those last two stitches. All right, on our last two stitches, we're going to single crochet together, chain one and turn, and now you're just going to do one single crochet in the next 10 stitches. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Chain one and turn. This next row is a decrease. So two single crochet together with the first two stitches. And then chain one for the next 6 stitches. And those last two, you're going to just work them together. Chain one and turn. This next row, you're just going to work one single crochet in each stitch for a total of 8 single crochets. Chain one and turn. This next row is a decrease. So two, the first two go together, and then work one single crochet in the next 4 stitches. And then 2 single crochet together those last 2 stitches. Chain one and turn, work one single crochet in each stitch for a total of 6 single crochets. Chain one and turn. Now we're going to do a decrease. So work those first 2 together. One single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then work those last 2 together. And chain one and turn. Work one single crochet in each stitch for a total of 4 single crochets. Chain one and turn. Work 2 single crochets together. So those first 2 get put together, and then those last 2 get put together. And then you're going to chain one and do your last decrease. Those 2 get to put together and fasten off. Again, leave a long tail for sewing because this is going to be sewed onto the inside of your ear warmer. All right, now all we have to do is add our little webbing. All right, so this part is going to have our little web on there. Okay, so we're just going to insert our Turqua into our threading needle. And if you notice on top, there are little just holes that you can just immediately see. So I like to insert my first hook into that first hole on the very top. And then I'm just going to bring it down to somewhere in the middle. Just kind of shove it into center space there. You don't have to bring it down all the way to that last single crochet together that's there. Just kind of put it somewhere above it. So then I find my center hole on the top, and I'm gonna just keep reinserting my hook, my needle all the way into that same center hole for all of them. So now I'm gonna insert it into the last one. It's not technically the last hole, but you want to leave some space just so that when you're sewing it onto the hat, you have some room on the sides. So now I go to my very first one. And if you look at the end of this and see that there's an easy way for you to do this, by all means, do it however is easier for you. This is just what works for me. So now I insert that into my middle, into my center hole. I come back into my outer one and reinsert it into my center. And it should look like a diamond, a kite. I find not the middle, I find one down from the middle, and I insert my needle, and then I'm going to bring it up to the middle. So you kind of want that line at a slant. You're going to put it on the opposite end of your center, and then you're going to insert your hook again on the other side of your center. So if you put it into the right side of your center, you're then going to insert it to the left side of your center. And then go back down one, and there you go. You have the webbing for the inside part of your hat done. It just has the three things. So it's just super easy. It's not a big deal. It's not too much, but it's just a little accent to add on to the hat. I've seen these hats done where it's just the white and the pink on the outside. And I think this version makes it a little, like with the little peekaboo part on the inside, makes it cute for the kids. You're going to want to just tie up your loose ends. And by that, I mean just the Turqua. So I cut off any excess. I'm going to reinsert the thread into my needle, and I'm going to just kind of come up to the middle. This is on the back end of it. And that way I can kind of just join them together and give them a good tie. And be careful when you're tying them, because they do tend to, because you have the threading lines in all the different directions, and they do tend to kind of like scrunch up. So I have to be very cautious when tying the knots, and making sure that I do it tight, but not so tight to the point where it's going to drag everything in the middle. And that's it. You're done. You have your little webbing. So now we have to do that for our second part. Okay, so now we have our base hat, and we're going to take our eye, and this is the side that you had left, that you started on the right side of your hat. Okay, we're going to place that down on our left side. And you see, this is exactly why I told you to start where I told you to start, because it just makes it easier when you're sewing it onto the hat. It just makes life a little easier. And I'm all for little tips and tricks that make your projects come together a little bit easier, especially when there's so many pieces. So I like to start up kind of like around the fourth row, just because that's where my center is on my Spider-Man hat when I have the webbing. So I want to do the same thing for my Ghost Spider hat. Even though there's no webbing there to kind of guide me to where my center is, I already know that my center is usually around my fourth row up from the bottom. So I'm going to find my center, and I'm going to kind of insert it a little to the left of that, because you want to kind of leave the middle completely empty, right? So that's my middle, and I'm going to start it to the left of that on my fourth row from the bottom. So you're going to count 4 rows up. And then I'm going to slant it at an angle, because you know they have their eyes at an angle, and I already know where I'm going to put it. Kind of mess around with this, see how slanted you want it. If you don't want it too slanted, you could put it down a row. If you want it more, you could put it up. Whatever's your preference, this is all that matters. And you're just gonna sew that along. And because I'm using the pink from the border, I want to make sure that I'm sewing into that same border, just so that it doesn't look messy and it doesn't look all over the place. So I'm just inserting it into those single crochets that I did along the border of the eye. And now you're coming up to that top row of where you want your eye to sit. And I like to kind of work 2 of those single crochets into that top row, just so that there's some sort of a rounded outness about the eye on the top. You don't want it too pointy. You want it more rounded out. And now we're going to do the bottom. And the bottom normally is 1 row down from my center. So the bottom would be on the 3rd row. And I kind of just go against that row. Sorry. I just kind of just secure it against that 3rd row. And that way I have a basis of where my next eye is going to go. You know, some people can just eye it and can see something and be like, okay, yeah, that's centered, or oh yeah, that's perfect, that's aligned. I'm not one of those people, so I need the rows to kind of guide me and tell me where things are at, if that makes sense. So now I have my next eye to put on. I'm going to insert the excess yarn into my threading needle and kind of figure out where I want this to go on. You kind of want to match it up, right? Again, I'm not one of these people that can just eyeball things. I have to match it up. So I go along against, I know that's going to start off on the 4th row. So I want to make sure that I angle it just enough. Put my eye at the angle that I need it so that the top meets the other side of the top as well. And that makes sense. All right, so I kind of just adjust everything that I feel like might be a little wonky or might not be what I want. And there you go, there you have it. So now you're going to turn it in, set out, not all the way. I just like to fold it up, cut off your excess, and tie your eyes together. I just like to make sure that everything is super secure in the hats that I give. And this particular hat is a gift to my 2-year-old neighbor. So I am just going to, again, just adjust. I like to make sure that it's perfect, but the eyes are done. And that was, my friends, the easiest part of this hat. I hate to break it to you. It's going to get just a little difficult. Um, Not too much, but just a little. So now we have our little sides, and that's going to go right in here in where our ear warmer is, right? We're just going to have like that peekaboo kind of webbing looking through, and we're going to align it, and we're going to start sewing it on. Now listen, because this is very important. Do not start sewing it on to the very edge of the bottom, right? That little V, that little V at the end, don't sew that on. So I want you to sew on up the side, across the edging of the top, and down the next side, and leave that little gap open. So right now we're just working on the side, okay? And you're just gonna go into that little space that you left from when you were doing your edging of the web, and make sure that you're doing it into the lippy part of your base hat. So that little border, that little edging of your base hat, make sure that you're doing it right in there, because the hat is white and you don't want pink lines just all over the place. Okay? Now this top part, if you notice that our top part has a little bit of an edge from the chain, right? We're going to go into that edge, but we are not going to go directly into the hat. No, because then that's going to leave an ugly border. We are going to go into the back pieces of that hat. So try to find the back loops from the single crochets of that hat and go in to those back loops. This will make sure that your hat is secure, but that it is not going all the way through, so you don't have a random pink line going across the edging of your ear warmer, or your ear flaps, I should say. And I just do each one. I don't skip, I don't over whatever, because I want to make sure that this part is secure. And since I'm not doing it through the whole hat, I need to make sure that I have as many parts sewed on as possible. You see, there's no line. So that's why we do this in the little loops. You have to be very mindful. This part is okay to go a little slower. It's okay to take your time. It's okay to double check and make sure that you're not putting it through the whole hat. You want this to be as clean as possible. Those are the little loops I'm talking about. All right, we did it. Now we're going to come back around and we're going to do our edging again. But now remember to stay within the pink parts, okay? You've come so far, you've made it so neat so far, so now give up and get sloppy. now we're going to leave the bottom open. And the reason we're going to leave it open is because we have to add braids, right? There's no point in putting braids into our webbing and then you can't see the webbing. That just makes no sense. So we're going to create this little pocket where our braids are going to go into, and that way we can kind of sort of hide them and still showcase the webbing. So now you're going to take your turquoise color, your lippy color, and your whites, and that's what we're going to make our braids with. And I like to cut the yarn for the braids. I do 6 on each side, so 6 turquoise, 6 lippy, 6 white. Those are strings. 6 strings of turquoise, 6 strings of lippy, 6 strings of white for each side. So you're doing a total of 12. And I like to do them about 36 inches long. It's totally your preference. It's completely up to you and what you feel like, whether you want them long or short. But I like to do about 36 inches, and that's what they'll look like. Okay, so now do you see this little hole here? We didn't sew this part on, so this is where we're going to insert our hook into the white portion. So right in between the pink and the white portion, you're going to insert your hook. I'm putting the white in the center, but you can put whatever color you want in the center. I normally just like to do the color of the base of the hat in the center. I like to put my pink towards the front because that is my accent color. Just make sure that it's even. And then I'm going to go into towards the back and insert my turquoise color. Just pull that through, again, making sure that both sides, the lengths are even. And now I'm going to braid it. I do this part off camera just because I put it in my lap, but this is how it looks braided. So now I'm going to go on ahead and grab that leftover yarn that we had when we were sewing on the webbing part, and I'm just going to kind of sew in between my braid and just hide the pink. You know, you can just do it inside the braid so that you can't really see that extra yarn. This is your braid. You can maneuver it underneath it. The braid is already in there. It's nice and tight. So you can separate the top portions to get to that little bottom single crochet, and you can just sew it into there. And that way you're making sure that it's sewed closed because you don't just want the hole open. I mean, it doesn't look bad with the hole open and it's not going to come apart, but then you would have to fasten it off and make sure that the sides and the top are really tight. I like to just make sure that it's completely done. So now if you go over it like this, you can just insert it on the sides and it'll tuck it in underneath it. You see, and that way you won't be able to tell that it's there. So now I'm just going to take it and just sew it along my braid, along my pink portion of the braid. This is a quick and easy way to kind of like tuck it in, fasten it off. You know it's not going to come apart. And you don't even have to go down the whole braid. You can just go through a portion of it. You see, I only did about halfway through. I'm cutting it off really close, and that's it. You would not even be able to tell that it's there. Now we have to fasten off this top portion, and I'm going to show you two different ways to do this. So the first way is this way, where I'm basically going to, I think I'm tying it off here. Okay, so I'm just going down the side and then sticking it through the middle in between the white and the pink and cutting off really short, and that way it's done and it's nice and hidden. You see how you have no lines coming across, but you have your design in the side of it. So now we have to work on the opposite side. So again, we're going to go up the sides. We are not going to sew the middle portion. We have to leave that open for our braids. With a house so busy, I have 3 kids and 2 dogs, and it becomes really, really hectic, and it's hard to find a moment of quiet to actually make a video, record, and all of that. So I tried something new this time, which was to make the video, do the chaos, and just do a voiceover. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not my favorite. I find it a little more harder. Going back and forth, it's I find it harder. Okay, so this is the second way that we're gonna hide this. I told you I was gonna teach you guys 2 ways. So we haven't sewed it on yet. We're gonna sew it on that extra small piece. We're gonna sew it on onto the back of the little webbing portion. And that way it's secured back there, and we're just gonna then go around and sew the rest of that portion without that little piece in the way anymore. So yeah, this isn't my favorite. I find it difficult. I feel like the sound is different than what it would be if I were talking to you as I would be working. Also, it's taking me so long to find quiet time. Remember in this portion, we're sewing the pink into the back loops of the white. So we're not going completely through the hat so that there's not a pink line on the hat itself. We're going through the back loops of the hat, okay? But now, for the last couple weeks, I haven't been able to record because I've had a cold. And I don't know if you can still tell my voice. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stick to locking everyone in their rooms for an hour at a time every night while I record, because this system, this setup, I don't know, I'm really not feeling it. I mean, you can tell me in the comments if it's fine, if the video is fine, if you understand, I guess the whole point is to make sure that you understand what steps you have to take to make the hat. And as long as you guys are understanding, then I guess it's fine. But if you guys truly hate it, I think I will re-record the video. And you're just gonna keep sewing around into that back loop. And now we're gonna work on the sides. So you see there's no line there. That's the most important part. You want this to be a little peekable feature, and it's not going to be a peekable feature if you can see the pink line. So you're just going to keep sewing until you get towards your corner. And then you're going to insert your braids as you did on the previous side. Braid them up, do everything, make sure everything is nice and even, make sure both braids are even, and then you're gonna sew close your little hoe. Okay, so I just line up where my ties are made because I know that that's even, and I just want to make sure that my cuts are even on both sides. I want it to be symmetrical. I hope that you guys found this video easy to follow along. I hope that I went slow enough. I know that that was some of the complaints in other videos. Um, Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the voiceover, if it's okay, if I should just stick to doing it the old way. And here's your ghost spider hat. Let me see how you guys are making these. Tag me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I want to see all of your ghost spider hats. All right. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.